I was totally afraid. I was sitting there and I was like, please just come out. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Karen. If this is your first time seeing my face, I make fashion. Actually, it's been a while since I've done fashion, but I do makeup and now lifestyle videos, mainly revolving around my personal life and my baby. Today, I am gonna go over what actually really happens down in the hoo-ha after you give birth to a baby. If you guys missed my birth vlog, it is still up on my YouTube channel. I'll leave a link in the description box below, and I'll pop something up here or here so you guys can check it out. I never knew these things until I started doing the same thing as you're probably doing right now, watching YouTube videos of other women talking about their experiences. And it's so crazy to me that we don't talk about this more enough. It is not a taboo, you know, like women give birth every single day. Everything that happens down there happens all the time. So let's just get right into it, and I'll start with the night after I gave birth. I had a vaginal burst and it was very natural, very successful, and I was super lucky how quick and easy it was. I know not every single woman have this experience, so please don't feel like you have to, and you should not, compare your experience with mine. Everyone's experiences is very unique to themselves. This is just my experience. The biggest question you guys want to know is if I tore. And the answer is yes, I tore. There are actually 4 degrees of tearing, and I tore the 2nd degree. So the 1st degree is just on the surface of your skin, and it's like you get a cut, it heals very quickly within a week or so. For me, I was on a 2nd degree tear, which meant that not only did the first layer of my skin tore, but also the muscle underneath it tore. The 2nd degree involves the perineal tear, meaning there's your vagina right here, and then your butthole where you poop is down here. The perineal tear is the area in between your vagina and your butthole. So mine kind of tore like towards my butthole, but it didn't touch my butthole. Lots of TMI information. So that's what you call the 2nd degree tear. The 2nd degree tear is actually a very normal tear. Most women get that tear. I was very lucky because I had a really successful epidural, and I actually did not feel any pain whatsoever during the delivery. In fact, it just felt like I had to take a really fat shit. There's a lot of pressure, and it felt super natural to just push. According to the doctor, I pushed very well and also very hard, and I think that's why I had a 2nd degree tear, even though my baby was considerably on the more petite side. She was 6 pounds 4 ounces, and when she came out and when I met her for the first time, the first thing I said was like, oh my gosh, she's so small. I think what's really important that nobody warns you about, I'm gonna tell you right now, is the night after you give birth, or just like immediately several hours after you give birth. So I had an epidural, so your experience might be different, but because I had an epidural, I had to get a catheter up I just had to get a catheter up there. And when they remove your catheter, I actually have to pee on my own again. And that first pee was the hardest thing I ever had to do besides giving birth to my baby and having my labor contractions. So the nurse had me hold a cup while I was sitting on the toilet and blow bubbles into the cup through a straw to help relax me so that I would pee, and it took so long to relax. And she said that if I could not pee on my own, then they would have the catheter back up without any pain medication, and I would feel everything would be very painful. So I was like praying to God. I was like, please, please, please let me pee naturally so I don't have to go through that. And the reason why you have to pee is because your bladder cannot be full when your uterus is contracting. I don't know why, but that's just how it works. And so they want to make sure that your bladder is emptied out. So that was the first most difficult thing, is having to pee. Because I still had residual effects from my epidural, I didn't feel the pain from my first pee. So a lot of you guys are asking me if it burns when you first pee. I actually didn't feel any pain because I couldn't feel anything down there. In fact, I needed help from the nurse to walk me to the bathroom back and forth, back and forth. They checked in on me about 5-6 hours after I gave birth to make sure I could release all of my liquids. And luckily, I did fine. Here's what happens after your first pee. So this is what you get at the hospital. These are your beautiful postpartum underwears. So it's like this stretchy mesh material, and this is probably the most comfortable thing that you want around your vajayjay. after you give birth because everything becomes so sensitive down there. This is how the whole situation happens. This is what you wear, and then you have this like maxi pad. So you stick your maxi pad in there. These are ice maxi pads. These were gifted to me by Stephanie. She was so thoughtful to give me some postpartum goodies. So you have your pad, then you have your Icicle pad. They make it out of diapers and they stick ice in it. You have these tuck pads, and these are medicated cooling pads, hemorrhoid pads with witch hazel. And basically you just want it to feel numb. So you have these like laid on your pads, and it looks like cucumbers, you know, you lay them all out, maybe 3 of them. You take your dermoplast. The hospital actually gives you one of these. I finished it within 3 days after I gave birth. And you spray the crap out of down there so it's like nice and cool. So that's the whole situation of down there right after you give birth. One thing I cannot forget is you also will be using one of these guys. This is how you clean your hoo-ha after you go pee-pee, because you do not want to use any tissues and you will not be rubbing at all down there. So what you're going to do is fill this guy up with water, warm, cool, whatever you prefer. I think I prefer cool because I want everything to be cold down there. That's just my preference. And then you spray your vajayjay to wash it clean. And then the last step is you take some like dry towels and you just pat that area dry. So it's like a whole situation. I remember the first time I went and took Dove to the doctor's office for her first doctor's checkup. I had my own mommy backpack and I carried pad, my Dermablast, my Tux cooling pads, and also this. This is the icicles. So it was very heavy. A lot of things happening down there. And I remember going pee-pee, and definitely it was a fear. Like the first time I went peeing without my epidural working anymore, I was scared. Like I was like holding my bladder tightly and like releasing very slowly because I wasn't sure what I was gonna feel. And it's manageable. The pain is manageable, especially because you do get pain medication from your doctor. I was prescribed a high dosage of ibuprofen, and when you don't take it, you definitely feel it, but when you do take it, it definitely feels a lot easier to go to the bathroom. I want to say the first week I wore these after I gave birth, and the doctor doesn't give you a lot of these, so you do run out. At least my hospital didn't give me a lot. I requested for more and they only had a certain amount for each patient. There are other options. So I have my Freedom Mom underwears, and these are disposable ones. I actually was very frugal with using these. I would double pad it so I could reuse it. I know that sounds really gross, huh? But I could wear these maybe 2 times instead of once. And they're basically the same concept as these mesh ones, but for the first week after you give birth, you definitely want the looser ones. These are a little bit tighter, definitely still big enough for when you have your postpartum belly, because you will still look like you're pregnant for a couple of weeks after. I mean, even now, I'm a month postpartum and I still look like I have a pooch down there, which is absolutely completely normal. I do have 2 tears, that's what the doctor said. And now that I'm 1 month postpartum, I can finally go pee without all this gear. And does it hurt? I would say it's just, there's this pressure down there now. Am I ready to have sex yet? Hell no. The thought of having something go up there right now just makes me want to shiver. It's my body is not ready for that right now. I'm only 4 weeks not ready for anything to get near there. Right now I'm just very comfortable with going pee. And also, if you do have a perineal tear, you don't want to use just dry toilet paper to wipe your poo-poo. Oh yeah, speaking of poo, this conversation is just so lovely, right? When you do go poo though, I recommend that you take stool softeners because it will be very, very hard to go for some reason. If you don't have stool softeners and you have a perineal tear, oh my God, I just can't imagine. Your poo would feel so freaking hard to come out of that area, and that area is so sensitive, and you have stitches. You don't want a dry toilet paper going around that area. These were clutch. These Flushable toddler wipes, These wet ones is what I cleaned my butt with for the longest time. And honestly, even today, this is what I started, like, this is what I use, because after you use these wet ones, you cannot go back to the dry ones and clean your butt after you poo. It just doesn't feel right or clean anymore. But these is what really helped me when it was super sensitive back there. I gotta say, I had to take my pain medication every 6 hours, and if I forget, then I'll start feeling like so much pressure. It was definitely like not comfortable to walk the first 2 weeks. Like, I was waddling a little bit because you don't want your hoo-ha area to be like rubbing too much. So my legs were still kind of like spread apart when I walked around. Today, this video, and if you guys are pregnant right now, if you're scared about your postpartum situation, fear not, because your pain medication and your baby will make up for everything. And honestly, you only go pee so many times a day, so it's not that bad. I'm gonna share with you how I got through this whole process with more of an ease and less pain with these products. So mommies out there, if you're watching and you're figuring out like what you need after you give birth, you definitely want a caddy of some sort of your feminine products. First and foremost are maxi pads. You don't need like the really thick, uncomfortable ones. So I got these stay-free maxi pads that are ultra long. I would also recommend getting some Frida Mom underwears, or just any postpartum underwears that are disposable in case your doctor does not give you enough of these guys. I definitely appreciated these, and I never wore pants after I gave birth. Dun-dun. You will definitely need one of these. So the hospital will give you a crappy one that doesn't aim very well. I really highly recommend the Freedom Mom ones, and I like how it's like soft here so you can squeeze. You need one of these. It's not even negotiable. These are essential. The Dermaplast, you will need one of these too. I think I went through 1.5 bottles within about 3.5 weeks. You need these. These Tux cooling pads is also must have for your postpartum healing. You will also need this in your caddy. Next, these Icicle Pads. I don't know if you need these, because I truly only used it after the first week of giving birth to baby Dove. Majority of the time I used it most when I was in the hospital, the 2 days after I gave birth. The ones from Freedom Mom are not my favorite because they're so freaking heavy. So if you make it yourself, you can look up diaper Icicle Pads. I know you can make them yourself with your baby's diapers, and you can control how heavy it gets in your underwear, because these get so heavy my underwear just sags and I keep having to walk around and pull my underwear back up. So these are not my favorites, and they're also really expensive too. So I don't recommend to buy these. I recommend you to look up how to make diaper Icicle Pads. But that will be such a lifesaver, especially your first week, because you do want everything to be nice and icy down there to numb the pain and so forth. Last but not least, what you will need are these wet ones, these toddler wipes to wipe your poo-poo. And that's basically it. Here is your little caddy, mommies, and here's your kit that will really help you get through your postpartum a lot easier. There is one thing that I really appreciated getting into. It's not a must, but it is these adult diapers, underwears. These are the Always Discreet, and I got it in the size small/medium despite how much weight I gained and how big I got. They actually fit me just right because they are super stretchy. So these came in super handy when my water broke. I was wearing these to the hospital, and I brought an extra pair in my bag so I can change it. It was so helpful because when my water broke, you just start leaking. Regular pads on your underwear, for whatever reason, will work too, but it was just not as comfortable because it soaks really fast. And when I ran out of my postpartum undies, because they were kind of expensive, I actually used these instead, and they worked really well too. And I think these are a lot cheaper to buy. Everything like postpartum related underwears and stuff like that, it's a markup. They mark everything more expensive. So if that's too expensive for you, I do recommend these adult diaper underwears. It's just that they are kind of hot to wear right now. It is like 110 degrees today, so that's the only downside to it if it is hot where you're at or humid or whatever. Now I'm gonna go through your questions on Instagram and see if there's anything else that I missed. Oh, the bleeding. You do end up bleeding out all the extra stuff. I was bleeding after birth for about 3.5 weeks. I've only stopped bleeding on my 4th week, and it's just like a light discharge. So on my 4th week, I started using the panty liners to catch all. Someone asked, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much does it hurt afterwards? On a harder day, it would be an 8. For me, I thought it was just pretty painful and uncomfortable. On a lighter day, I would say like a 5. Okay, someone says, total TMI, but was it easy for you to poop? My first poop after birth was a nightmare. Luckily, my doctor put me on stool softener immediately after I gave birth, and then I just kept taking it. So my first poop was not a total nightmare, but I was totally afraid. I was sitting there and I was like, please just come out. Total TMI, but I didn't even push. I was just like, just letting my body relax and do its thing, because I was like, if I push, I might tear my stitches, and I don't want that to happen. Like, I was just so scared. My stitches, the ones that my doctor gave me, they dissolve on its own. Your stitches do come out on its own, at least for me. So Hazel Beans asked, did you have to massage down there to prevent from severe tears? I did not massage myself down there. I didn't know how, didn't care to look up how to massage myself down there. I was just like, yeah, I just didn't care to do that. How do stitches feel? Well, you don't feel them, especially when you take your pain medication. I didn't really feel them. I just knew the whole area was just like uncomfortably sore. Over time, they started to feel itchy, and I think that's the part that sucks the most. Is like, it's like itchy down there, but you don't want to itch it because you're worried that you're gonna like hurt yourself, so you just kind of have to deal with it. Now that I'm 4 weeks postpartum, I would say I'm pretty much healed down there, but not completely. It just doesn't hurt anymore, you know? I would like to have another 4 weeks before I even think about having sex or even putting a tampon up there. Someone asked, will down there contract or will it stay wide forever? For me, I'm pretty sure that it did not stay wide. I'm pretty sure it just kind of like contracted on its own, and it feels just the same. That's pretty much all the questions. I hope this video helped you guys. If you guys are curious, if you are nervous about what happens, girl, just trust me though, you can handle this. Because look at me, like I'm all smiles right now. But I think back to it, it's not as bad. But I think when I want to be as honest and as real with you guys as possible. And when I was going through the whole process, I remember telling myself like, Karen, this sucked. Don't forget that this sucked. It did suck, but it's not the worst. And with my whole kit that I shared with you, it definitely made the whole process so much more bearable. And with your pain medication and your baby, like, everything is so worth it. It is very TMI. And if you guys missed my birth vlog, it is still up on my YouTube channel, so feel free to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description box below, and I'll pop something up here or here so you guys can check it out. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!